The kettle whistled in the background, a soft scream against the hush of the apartment. Elise stood barefoot on the cold tiles of her kitchen, the morning light gently illuminating the clutter she hadn't bothered to clean. A coffee mug with a chipped rim. A stack of unopened mail. Her coat still thrown over the back of a chair from 2 days ago. It all remained untouched, as if the world had paused in sympathy with her. But the world hadn't paused. Only she had. 30 wasn't old. People said that all the time. But Elise felt ancient. Not in years but in where. In how long she'd spent pretending to feel whole. She hadn't always been like this. There was a time not too long ago when laughter would erupt from her like a spark, wild and warm. That was before the job she didn't believe in, the relationship that hollowed her out quietly, and the creeping numbness that began to dress itself as normal. She left the man 3 months ago. No tears, no slamming doors. Just a single suitcase and the firm, breathless goodbye of someone who'd rehearsed it 1,000 times. Since then, silence had become her roommate. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. She always did. People said, "Come out, have a drink, let's talk." But Elise had grown addicted to her own stillness. It was easier to sit in her oversized sweater on the balcony, legs curled, mind wandering. She watched the sky like it owed her answers. The knock came late in the evening. Not urgent, not timid either. Just their presence. She waited, unsure. No one had said they were coming. She wasn't expecting anything. But the knock returned, a little firmer this time. Elise opened the door slowly, expecting a neighbor maybe, or a delivery mistake. Instead, she found a small package on the ground. No sender. Just her name, written in delicate cursive. Inside was a sketchbook. Worse. The one she'd abandoned 5 years ago when life became too loud. Pages filled with half-drawn faces, cityscapes she'd glimpsed through subway windows, little bursts of memory turned into line work. She flipped to the last page. A blank sheet with a single note scribbled in the corner. "You stop, but you can start again. E." It was her handwriting. From another time. Another self. She remembered now. One night, after a particularly brutal shift waiting tables, she'd come home and written that message to herself as a challenge. She'd promised she'd return to drawing when she felt alive again. The irony was sharp. That night, Elise cleared the table, made tea, and sat down with the sketchbook. She didn't try to create anything perfect. Just shapes, movements, a girl standing in the wind. Her hands trembling slightly, but there. Present. Each line she drew whispered something forgotten. "I am still here." Over the next few days, the silence changed. It no longer felt like a void, but a waiting space. The kind you sit in before the light returns. Elise began walking again, not far, just around the neighborhood. She started noticing things. The way the trees arched like dancers. The old man in the corner shop who always arranged the fruit by color. The cracked tile on the sidewalk shaped like a heart. She wasn't healed. But she was paying attention. One afternoon, she brought her sketchbook to the park. She sat on a bench under the elm trees and drew a woman leaning out of a window, hair in the breeze, something hopeful in her eyes. A stranger passed by, glanced at the page and smiled. Elise smiled back. Human again. Connected, even if only for a second. In time, she opened the windows in her apartment. Let the wind rearrange the air. She played music. Slow jazz, the kind her mother used to dance to while cleaning. She painted her walls white and rearranged her furniture. Not because it mattered, but because change, even small, meant something. The next knock at her door came weeks later. This time it was her best friend, Nora. No small package. No mystery. "You look different," Nora said. "I feel different," Elise replied. They sat on the floor, wine between them, sketchbook open. Elise showed her the drawings, some messy, some still raw. "You're finding your way back," Nora whispered. "No," Elise said, smiling for the first time in months. "I'm finding a new one."